across this land of Kenya. My name is John Karani, and very blessed to be the chairman of the Kenya Institute of Supply Chain Management for the last 3 years, going to 3 years now. And we're coming to another season where we need to go back to you, our members, to get another mandate to entrench the journey that we've been working on. Today, I want to tell the whole world that supply chain is a profession like any other. It's governed by the Act of Parliament, the SPMA 2007, Supplies Practitioners Act, that came into force in the year 2007 under Section 13.1. So supply chain is a profession that's governed with an Act of Parliament, and that's what gives us the strength and indeed the mandate to entrench professionalism in supply chain management. It's been 15 years now since the Act came into force, and it is time to enforce the full mandate of the Act. Section 16 of that Act states that anyone who practices supply chain must have a practice license, must comply to the provisions of the Act. And Section 20 says that if you practice supply chain without being in compliance, then you are indeed in offense of the Act. Indeed, Section 29 to 32 gives specific prescriptions of what pertains to those who practice without being licensed members. And there are two offenses that here. One offense is for the CEO that employs somebody who is not a certified licensed practitioner. It prescribes that you can actually, as an acting accounting officer, the CEO, you're liable for a jail term of 2 years and a fine of 500 and other and stipulated offenses. What does that mean, therefore? It means that the CEO must be the first port of call in ensuring that the people who are employed in supply chain are in compliance with the Act. This is absolutely to enable us to kind of ring-fence the profession, but more importantly, get rid of quacks. Because many times, most of our professionals, if not all, do the right thing. But there will always be people who do supply chain without being duly registered and licensed by the Institute. When you're out of that ambit, it means we cannot be able to regulate you. We cannot be able to discipline those people who are not licensed and registered. They are not our members, that's what we're saying. So what are we telling our CEOs, our accounting officers, and our members? Before you employ anybody who is in supply chain, please ensure they are registered members of KISM, licensed under the SPMA 2007. That will give us the ability to discipline them if they are errant. That will give us the ability to regulate them and actually be able to, I love the word discipling them, to ensure they do the right thing. But when you employ people who are not within the ambit of that Act, who are not registered and licensed, it becomes very difficult for us to guide them, to lead them, to train them, to empower them, and most importantly, to bar them if they do the wrong thing. It starts with the accounting officer doing that. So we urge you, our accounting officers, our partners in all sectors, whether it's the private sector, whether it is the NGO world, or the public sector, where most of our members are drawn from. Please ensure you employ bona fide, registered, licensed members who are in good standing under the SPMA Act and the provisions of 29 to 30, Section 29 to 32, which prescribe very specific penalties for the people who employ people who are not registered and licensed. The next thing I would like to assure you that we have been sensitizing members of the public, sensitizing our own members, and especially the county governments. Please employ people who are professionals, certified, qualified members. That's the only way you can, first of all, hold them accountable, but secondly, that's the only way you can ensure that we as KISM are able to hold them accountable. And if there's anything wrong, they can report them to us, and we'll deal with them if they have indeed done anything wrong. But it starts with you, the employer, it starts with you, the accounting officer, to walk with us this journey to ensure we bring sanity into the supply chain profession and employ people who are bona fide, registered supplies practitioners. If we do this together, we'll clean this profession of quacks and we'll make sure we have a profession we can be very proud to bequeath to the next generation of professionals. With that, I want to thank you and ask you to partner with us. We are your friends, we are your partners. to bring integrity in supply chain, to bring transparency in supply chain process, but above all, to bring professionalism and accountability in the supplies practitioners profession. Thank you very much. Yeah. Mm. Mm-hmm. Ah. Okay. Ready to go. So, one of the things we are very ready to do is to be partners of the hustler of the many agendas that the president has enumerated, especially with the Hustler Fund project, with the bottom-up strategy, and especially working with everybody within the counties and all sectors of the economy to bring into force the full value of supply chain mechanism. For the longest time, our members have been persecuted for the wrong reasons. For the longest time, our members have been victimized without due diligence, without due process being followed. We are saying we're not the criminals that we've been painted. Our members mean well. Our members, the majority of our members, want to do the right thing. They are professionals like any other. But when you bring in preconceived perceptions which lead to victimizations of people who are doing the right thing, I can tell you there are so many projects that will not stand the test of time if there was no supply chain involved. All good projects in this country have a supply chain component, a big supply chain component. Whether it is the Nairobi Expressway, whether it's the SGR, whether it's even the Thika Superhighway, all the buildings you see here, supply chain is a key driver of these professionals. As such, I want to declare that we are not the criminals, the rogues that have been blamed, that have been categorized, have been characterized to be. We are professionals. Supply chain is both a profession, it's an art and a science. It takes people to go to school. It takes people to be trained to become supply chain professionals. And that's what we want to be respected for. We have a great input. We are not rogue officers as it is claimed. We are not thieves that has been characterized with. Supply chain continuum is a chain of activity that involves a lot of players, a lot of actors. And it's important, therefore, to sensitize everybody in that chain, whether it is the user department, the technical department, the accounting officer, the evaluation team, the tender opening committees, the people who do the acceptance and of each project at the end of the day, inspection and acceptance before it's accepted. That's not supply chain. Supply chain sits through that process to observe and to advise and give a professional opinion. Our people do their part to give a professional opinion. And a professional opinion must be respected. It is like getting a legal opinion, for instance. And our role as practitioners, as experts in this supply chain area, is to give you, the CEO, the chief officer at the county levels, a professional opinion that will guide you on the decision. And if there's anything wrong with that professional opinion, you can report that to us, and we'll hold those people accountable. It is therefore wrong to have our people being victimized, being accused of wrongdoing, when everybody else in that chain have not been held accountable. And all the time we see supply chain people being called out. Where are the other players in this chain? Because supply chain is not a one-man or one-woman act. Where are the other people that are involved in this chain? And we must hold everybody accountable in the process of supply chain for the role they play. That's what we've been doing for the last 1 or 2 years, actually 3 years now. Sensitizing the public, sensitizing all the players, the actors in this chain about their role, empowering them and educating them to do what they're supposed to do and not just blame supply chain. And it's on the account of this that we are now doing a lot of partnership with EACC, for instance, so that EACC can absolutely know that supply chain is just a player, one of the actors. Hold everybody else accountable, not hold our people to court and torment them and harangue them without any evidence whatsoever. It is important that we hold everybody accountable in that chain and ensure that the people who do the wrong thing in the supply chain are held accountable. People in supply chain management, procurement people, are not the only players in that chain. And so by partnering with the EACC, we're able to sensitize them about the role of supply chain is done, procedures and processes, and therefore map out that process. We're working with DCI also. We're also working with the Attorney General, OAG, Office of the Attorney General, and Auditor General, Office of the Auditor General, so that audit work is also done by people who do supply chain. You just bring people who have no clue about supply chain people, and they go straight for the jugular without knowing what the issues are. This sensitization process, this partnership process, is to ensure that at the end of the day, we go to the crux of the matter and not continue victimizing our supply chain people. One of the things we want to do in the next, we lobby with especially ESCC, is to have supply chain people on the board of ESCC and other big organizations like Kenya Power, or KPC, Kenya Pipeline, or KPA, Kenya Ports Authority, or KenGen, all these big organizations where everything is supply chain related, but we don't have a seat at the table. And why do we want a seat at the table? Because when we are there, we can now provide our expertise as supply chain people before things and people are victimized wrongly. That's the journey we must travel together, and we want to partner with the government, with all organizations, to ensure the integrity of the supply chain process. Thank you. Okay. We've realized also about how mentorship of the people who want to do supply chain must start early. And that's why we are now working, especially with universities, to ensure we catch them young, catch the students young, first of all understanding why have they registered to do supply chain as a course. Is it for the right motive? Because for the longest time, we find students are registering for supply chain because they think that's where to make quick bucks. That's the wrong motive. We want to ensure that at the time they absolutely recruit themselves or enter supply chain, it's for the right reasons, because they believe supply chain is a calling, is a ministry, is a passion they have. It's not just a place to go make quick bucks. By partnering with universities, therefore, we are able to enforce, not entrench professionalism, integrity, and mindset change, culture change in the students at the university level, and walk with them that journey, so that by the time they come, they leave the university, they have got the right value system, they've got the right aspirations, that they want to add value to supply chain. And as soon as they leave the university, we want to put them straight into a proper professional certification process. Remember, what makes a professional is not just the academic qualification. On top of academic qualification, you must add what we call professional certification, which is what we'll do now with our sister body, the Kenya Institute of Supplies Examination Body, through CPSPK, entrenching professionalism. After that, we must now take them through the membership activities so that they become members right there, student members, first of all, before they become full members. At that time, we'll have entrenched the requisite skills, the requisite, especially value system. So they're coming to do supply chain because they believe in supply chain, they believe it's the right thing to do, they believe in the integrity of supply chain, and most importantly, they believe that supply chain is a calling, not just a job. That's the only way we'll entrench integrity, transparency in supply chain, right from the university level, right into the marketplace. If you get them right, mentor them right from the beginning, you'll get the right product at the end of the day. Thank you. Shame Matosh. Have another question?